In a world where knowledge is power, there's one type of knowledge that comes at a terrifying cost, and in a hidden corner of the universe, a truth lies waiting to devour those who seek it. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we delve into a story so chilling it'll make you question the very essence of curiosity. If you love stories about astronomical horror, make sure to subscribe so you never miss out on our thrilling tales from the cosmos. And without further ado, let's dive into the heart of this chilling narrative. Picture a world bathed in the soft glow of oil lamplight, where the cosmos is read not with telescopes, but with wide-open eyes tracing the paths of stars against the night sky. This was the world of ancient astronomers. Their tools were simple, their knowledge profound. They saw in the celestial dance patterns of prediction, in the lunar cycle, rhythms of life. Stars were not just pinpricks of light, but celestial storytellers weaving tales of gods and prophecies. The sun and moon, they believed, were deities in constant motion, dictating the fate of mortals below. For these astronomers, each sunrise was a gift, each sunset a mystery. They observed eclipses, not as scientific phenomena, but as omens, messages from the divine. They charted constellations, not as star lovers, but as celestial beings who influenced human fortune. Their task was daunting, fraught with danger and demanding utmost precision. A miscalculation could mean the difference between divine favor and cosmic wrath. Theirs was a life of isolation, of endless observation and solitary contemplation. Yet they were driven by an insatiable thirst for understanding, a need to unravel the secrets of the cosmos. They lived and died among the stars, their bones turned to dust, their stories lost to the sands of time. But their legacy lived on in the whispered tales of their uncanny predictions, stories passed down through generations, keeping the memory of these celestial seers alive. However, their existence was not without its perils. For every revelation they made, there seemed to be a shadow lurking, a consequence that threatened to eclipse their very existence. There was a price to be paid for unlocking the secrets of the cosmos. It's a price they would soon learn all too well. Now, let's turn our attention to a place where the mundane meets the mysterious, a small remote village nestled amidst rolling hills and whispering trees. It was a typical village in every sense, with dirt roads, thatched roofs, and lives dictated by the rhythm of nature. Life here revolved around the predictable routine of planting, harvesting, and celebrating, with festivals under the open sky. The village was untouched by the whispers of the outside world. Its people were uncorrupted by the taint of civilization. Here, tradition was their shield and faith, their solace. Religion wasn't just a belief, it was a way of life. Every aspect of their lives, from sowing seeds to the rituals they performed, was steeped in religious fervor. They prayed for rain, for bountiful harvests, for protection from harm. And their prayers were answered, or so they believed. The village elder, a man weathered by time and wisdom, was the link between the earthly and the divine. He was the interpreter of signs, the explainer of natural wonders. The villagers trusted his judgment implicitly. He was their protector, their guide, and he led them in their daily lives. And as far as the villagers were concerned, their lives were perfect. But unbeknownst to them, in the quiet corners of their seemingly idyllic world, something was stirring, something that threatened to shatter the fragile peace they held so dear. Our story now takes us to a moment of celestial drama, a day when the sun decided to hide its face behind the moon. An eclipse had descended upon the village sky, casting an eerie darkness that was both captivating and terrifying. The villagers, caught off guard by this unexpected spectacle, were thrown into a frenzy of emotions, fear, wonder, and confusion. The eclipse was not just an astronomical event for them. It was a sign, a message from the gods, a harbinger of change. As the sun's light was consumed by the moon's dark embrace, the world seemed to hold its breath. Shadows grew longer and distorted, twisting familiar landscapes into eerie silhouettes. The absence of sunlight brought an unnatural chill, penetrating even the warmest homes and thickest clothing. Animals, usually boisterous and carefree, fell silent, their instincts sensing the gravity of the situation. Even the wind, which had been a constant companion, hushed its whispers, creating an unnerving stillness. And in the midst of this celestial drama, a group of astronomers stood out, their faces illuminated by a mixture of fascination and apprehension. They were not just spectators. They were interpreters, attempting to decipher the celestial message being written across the sky. Their instruments, crude yet effective, were pointed towards the sky, recording the dance of the celestial bodies. They watched as the moon, like a celestial predator, slowly devoured the sunlight, inching closer to completing its ghastly feast. Their expressions were a mix of awe and dread, their eyes reflecting the eerie play of light and shadow on the ground. With each passing moment, the eclipse intensified, drawing all eyes upward. As the last sliver of sunlight was consumed, plunging the world into an eerie darkness, the astronomers were ready. They had witnessed countless eclipses before, but this one felt different, charged with an energy that transcended the scientific. They sensed that this was not just an astronomical event. It was a spectacle laden with meaning, a cosmic drama unfolding above their heads, and in the silence of their hearts, they knew that this eclipse was more than just an alignment of celestial bodies. It was a moment of profound cosmic significance, a celestial event that would leave its mark on the very fabric of their existence. Little did they know the full extent of the eclipse's impact, the darkness that it harbored, and the shadows that it cast. The silence was deafening, broken only by the gasps and murmurs of the awestruck villagers. Suddenly, a piercing shriek tore through the air, jolting everyone from their trance. It was the sound of terror, raw and unfiltered, echoing the primal fears that gripped many hearts. Then another cry joined the first, then another and another, until the once peaceful village square became a cacophony of fear. People were running, their faces pale with terror, their eyes wide with unspeakable horror. It was as if some unseen terror had materialized, turning their tranquility into pandemonium. The astronomers, shaken by the sudden eruption of fear, turned from their observations to witness the unfolding chaos. They saw parents clutching their children close, racing for the safety of their homes, and elderly figures supported by their loved ones, shuffling along, their steps heavy with fear. The animals, sensing the growing panic, were now restless, their panicked cries adding to the symphony of distress. The once picturesque village was transformed into a theater of fear, a stage where terror was the leading actor, and as the minutes ticked by, the full weight of the eclipse's impact became clear. It was not just an astronomical event. It was a harbinger of chaos, a celestial visitor bringing with it forces that shook the foundations of their world. As the eclipse reached its zenith, a bone-chilling hush fell over the village, a silence heavier than the darkness that blanketed the sky. It was a silence pregnant with anticipation, a stillness that amplified the looming sense of dread. The villagers, huddled together in their homes, exchanged fearful glances. The air within the confines of their houses seemed to thicken, making each breath a struggle. The absence of sound was deafening, pressing against their ears, forcing them to confront the silence. Outside, the wind seemed to have stopped, holding its breath in unison with the terrified villagers. Even the leaves on the trees appeared to have paused their rustling song, hanging limp and still. The world, once vibrant and teeming with sound, had been muted, transformed into a setting for a nightmare. In the midst of this palpable dread, the astronomers emerged from their observatory, their faces etched with concern. They had studied the heavens, charting the paths of celestial bodies, predicting seasons and guiding the villagers. But this eclipse was beyond their calculations, beyond their understanding. They ventured into the heart of the village, their steps heavy on the silent streets. Their instruments, symbols of their life's work, lay abandoned, forgotten in the face of the overwhelming fear. As they walked, they saw the terror etched on the villagers' faces, the way their eyes reflected the darkness that had fallen not just on the sky, but on their hopes, their dreams, their very existence. They were the astronomers, the interpreters of the skies, and their people needed them. But what could they say? What could they offer when the darkness seemed absolute, when the silence screamed of impending doom? Their knowledge, once revered, now seemed inadequate, their explanations powerless in the face of the overwhelming terror. And as they stood among the villagers, sharing their unease, they knew that this eclipse was more than just an astronomical event. It was a test, a challenge, a dark visitor from the cosmos come to shake the very foundations of their world. If you want to be a part of our story, don't forget to subscribe for more updates. We've got more chilling tales and exciting narratives waiting for you. And if you enjoyed this tale, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for joining us today. Until next time, keep looking up at the stars, but remember, sometimes the most terrifying stories unfold not on Earth, but in the darkest corners of the cosmos itself.